The sea is calm. On a small, weathered boat, an old man with silver hair sits in silence, fishing rod still in hand, eyes fixed on the horizon where his old battleground once stood. He doesn't fish for sport. It's a quiet ritual of an aging soldier, returning to the place his comrades fell, a final salute. But that fragile peace shatters when the Coast Guard closes in, accusing him of illegal fishing in a military zone. He's taken away under cold stares, amid crashing waves and a silence heavy with indignation. Just 1 hour later, everything shifts. A massive Navy ship appears, its flag at half-mast, loudspeakers calling his name. They don't arrest him, they honor him. A public memorial ceremony is held, right where he was just detained. What happened? Who is he? And why does an entire military rise for a silent old man? Subscribe to Veteran Best Stories. Don't miss the tale that makes you rethink how we treat those who gave their lives for their country. Jonathan Blake, a veteran with deep lines etched on his face, lives quietly by the Florida harbor, where waves lap steadily, like the heartbeat of memory. His small wooden house, simple and weathered by sea winds, shelters not just his body but the fragments of his soul carried back from the Pacific War. After his discharge, he chose solitude. No clamor, no demands, no tales of days facing fire and smoke. In his heart, memories of his comrades, youthful faces, laughter ringing through storms, remain vivid, yet they bring a pain that never fades. He seeks no attention, no understanding. He only wants to keep a silent vow to those who fell, that he will not let them be forgotten. Each day, before dawn's first light, Jonathan rises with an unchanging ritual. He laces his boots, checks his small boat, gently takes a bouquet of white chrysanthemums, their fragile petals like whispers he sends to his comrades. He steps onto the old dock, once a mobile naval base in 1971, where ships brimmed with hope and fear. To him, that dock is more than a place. It's a gateway to the past, where he can hear his brother's calls. As he rows out to sea, his heart pounds, not from the waves, but from a sacred connection. He feels them, the souls forever lost beneath the ocean, as if they still wait for him, still listen. That day, like every other, Jonathan guides his boat far out, to the exact spot where the battle years ago claimed 8 men from his squad. Sea winds sweep through his silver hair, carrying the salt of tears he never lets fall. He casts his line but ties no bait. The rod rests quietly on the boat's edge, a symbol of remembrance. It's how he talks to his comrades, those he held hands with, vowed to return with. Yet only he survived. In that moment, he doesn't fish for fish. He fishes for memories. The youngest soldiers laugh, the commander's steadfast gaze, the deafening blast that tore it all apart. His heart is heavy, not with regret, but with a profound pain, the pain of a survivor, bearing the weight of unfinished promises. Each white chrysanthemum he releases onto the sea is an apology, a tribute, a vow that he's still here, still remembering. But Jonathan's stillness, to him, a sacred ritual, clashes with a modern world that sees only actions, not the heart behind them. Passers-by, with hurried glances, see just a strange old man on an old boat, unaware that each trip is a journey through time, a whisper to souls forever drifted away. In his heart, a silent struggle unfolds. He doesn't blame the world for its indifference, yet he can't stop the sadness creeping in, thinking his comrades, those who gave everything, might be fading from memory. He wonders if those white chrysanthemums have the strength to keep them alive, if their story has a place in a world that never stops changing. As he rows back, the sunset stains the sea red, like the blood of days gone by. He stands silently on the dock, his bouquet lighter, but his heart still heavy. He needs no witnesses, no understanding. For him, each trip honors a kept promise, a way to keep living, if only to carry the memories of those gone. In that solitude, Jonathan finds strength. He knows, though the world may turn away, he'll never stop rowing, never stop scattering flowers, for that's how he keeps his comrades alive, in his heart, in the waves, in the white chrysanthemums drifting on the sea. Under the faint sunlight of early morning, as Florida's sea gently cradles the shore, a Coast Guard team skims the water, their cold eyes scanning through binoculars. To them, Jonathan Blake is a frail old man, alone on his small boat, fishing rod loose in his hand. They see him as a violator, fishing without a license in a military zone, marked by invisible boundaries. They don't notice the bouquet of chrysanthemums he carries. They don't see his sorrowful gaze, fixed on the horizon where memories of his comrades remain intact. In his heart, this trip isn't about fishing. It's a sacred ritual, a whisper sent to the 8 brothers who fell forever beneath the waves in the Battle of 1975. But the world, with its hurried pace, only judges actions, blind to his heart. As the patrol boat draws near, a curt command cuts through, ordering him to stop. Jonathan doesn't resist. Not a word of defense escapes his lips. He quietly reels in his line, his movements slow but dignified, as if each gesture is part of the ritual he's upheld for years. His eyes stay locked on the water, where waves glint as if recounting the story of those gone. In his heart, a tide of emotion surges. He's not angry at the misunderstanding, but a deep sadness creeps in, as if the sanctity of his ritual is being carelessly trampled by an indifferent world. He thinks of his comrades, of the vows he's kept, and a fleeting fear grips him. Fear that their memory will fade, just as he's branded a nameless offender. Yet he doesn't let fear prevail. He sits there, back straight, gaze resolute, like a soldier standing watch, though the war has long ended. When the patrol team boards, they spot a small vase beside him, its delicate white chrysanthemum petals trembling in the sea breeze. Beneath it, a yellowed letter, its ink faded, but still breathing with the past. No one opens it. No one asks its meaning. To them, it's just meaningless clutter, unworthy of notice. They don't see the vase as a flame of remembrance, the letter as Jonathan's unspoken words to his comrades, words he never sent but always carries. In his silence, a quiet pain smolders. He doesn't blame them, but he can't stop a piercing loneliness, as if he and his comrades are being severed from this world. As they lead him to shore, he feels the cold metal on his wrists, but his heart stays warm, for he knows he's fulfilled part of his ritual. In the final moment before being restrained, Jonathan, with the quiet cunning of a soldier who's faced danger, slips a last white chrysanthemum from his pocket. He scatters it onto the water, the motion gentle but profound, a farewell to his brothers. No one on the patrol boat notices. No one sees the petal drift, merging with the waves, carrying his eternal vow. But in his heart, that moment is a silent triumph. Though misunderstood, though detained, he's kept his oath to his comrades. That petal, small but steadfast, is proof their memory lives despite the world's indifference. On shore, a few onlookers record the scene, Videos posted with biting captions. Old man caught poaching. They don't know the man in the video is Jonathan Blake, a Pacific War veteran, bearing the pain of 8 souls lost. They don't see his heart, where his comrade's memory burns bright, where each white chrysanthemum is a ceaseless whisper. As he steps onto land, eyes still on the sea, Jonathan feels no shame. He feels peace, knowing that, though bound, he sent his final message to his comrades. In his heart, a quiet calm settles. He doesn't need the world to understand. He only needs his comrades to know he's still there, still rowing, still scattering flowers, forever loyal to his vow. The video of Jonathan Blake, showing him being escorted from his small boat, spreads rapidly online, like a gust sweeping across Florida's sea. Mocking comments, jeering words, they pile up thickly, like careless arrows piercing the old soldier's heart. Old poacher, they call him, unaware that each white chrysanthemum he scattered was a whisper to 8 comrades forever lost beneath the ocean. In Jonathan's heart, as he's led ashore, cold cuffs biting his wrists, a quiet pain rises, not from the humiliation, not from the crowd's indifferent stares. The pain stems from feeling his sacred ritual, his vow to his brothers, misjudged by the world, reduced to a trivial act. Yet he doesn't bow his head. His gaze stays fixed on the sea, where the last petal he released still drifts, carrying his comrade's memory. In that steadfast silence, he finds strength, a solace in knowing he kept his oath, though the cost is loneliness and judgment. Far from the harbor, in a brightly lit office at Navy headquarters, the video appears on Lieutenant Colonel Daniel Lewis's screen. He pauses, fingers hovering over the keyboard, as Jonathan's weathered face fills the frame. His heart pounds, not with anger, but with a profound recognition. He knows this man, Jonathan Blake, the silent soldier, his father, one of the 8 who fell in 1971, spoke of with deep reverence. In childhood memories, Daniel recalls nights by the fireplace, his father's low voice recounting the soldier who saved him from death's edge. Jonathan, with strong hands, held his father's bleeding wound, staunching the flow through seemingly hopeless minutes until a rescue ship arrived. That act saved his father's life, but cost Jonathan his hearing forever, an invisible wound he carried for life. Watching the video, Daniel feels a tide of emotion surge, a mix of gratitude, pain, and a fierce urge to act. Mr. Blake, his father's unsung hero, cannot be treated as a mere offender. In Daniel's heart, his father's stories come alive, sharp and vivid. He was once a boy sitting by his father, listening to tales of comradeship, of moments when death loomed but loyalty prevailed. Now, seeing Jonathan in cuffs, Daniel feels a profound pang of guilt. This man isn't just a veteran. He's the one who gave Daniel the chance to be born, to grow, to carry his father's legacy. Sorrow mixes with outrage as he thinks of how the world turned its back on this soldier, treating him as a nameless shadow. But Daniel doesn't let those emotions drown him. He senses a mission, not just for his father, but for all who fell, those Jonathan still honors daily. He deserves recognition, and his comrade's memory deserves to be revived. Without hesitation, Daniel picks up the phone, his voice firm as he contacts command. He requests a formal memorial ceremony, not just anywhere, but at the very spot Jonathan was detained, where he scattered white chrysanthemums, where he kept his vow to his comrades for years. In his heart, this decision isn't just justice, it's a tribute, a way to repay the debt he and the Navy owe the old soldier. As he pitches the idea, the image of Jonathan on his small boat fills his mind, like a lighthouse in a storm. Daniel feels a quiet peace settle in, knowing this ceremony will not only heal Jonathan, but all who've witnessed his story. It will prove that loyalty and sacrifice, though forgotten, will ultimately find light. As he hangs up, Daniel gazes out the window, where sunlight streams like a promise. Mr. Blake, the silent soldier, survived war, pain, and the world's indifference. Now, through Daniel's actions, he won't stand alone. In Daniel's heart, a flame has ignited, a flame of gratitude, of respect, and of resolve to ensure that Jonathan's story, his father's, and those of the 8 souls beneath the sea, will be told forever. Just 1 hour after Jonathan Blake was escorted ashore, cold cuffs biting his wrists, Florida's sea trembles with the deep hum of a Navy ship's horn. The massive vessel glides through the waves, its flag at half-mast, bearing a simple yet weighty inscription: "We remember you." In the pale sunlight, officers in crisp white dress uniforms stand solemnly on deck, their faces etched with resolve, as if facing the past itself. They lower wreaths onto the sea, white and red chrysanthemums drifting slowly, blending with the waves like a sacred whisper. In Jonathan's heart, as he sits on a stone bench near the shore, still in his rumpled clothes from detention, a strange feeling stirs. He doesn't know the ship is coming, doesn't know his quiet act has sparked a wave of remembrance, but his heart, long burdened by memory and pain, begins to pulse with hope, as if his comrades from the ocean's depths are calling his name. The ship stands still in the ocean, the air steeped in solemn silence. Then, from the loudspeaker, a voice rings out, clear and heavy, reading aloud the names of 8 soldiers, those who fell in the battle of 1971. Each name is a chisel mark in time, a vow they are not forgotten. Jonathan, clutching his yellowed letter, hears each name echo like his own heartbeat. He sees them again, the youngest soldier's radiant smile, the commander's steadfast gaze, the hands he gripped tightly before they grew cold in the salty water. In his heart, a storm of emotion swirls. He once feared his white chrysanthemums were not enough, that his sacred ritual, though holy to him, would forever be dismissed by the world. But now, as the Navy ship stands there, with wreaths floating on the waves, he feels a belated recognition, like sunlight piercing the dense fog of his lonely years. When the final name, Jonathan Blake, is called, his heart seems to stop. He hadn't expected it. For years he saw himself only as the survivor, the one bearing the weight of unfinished promises, not a man to be honored. But as his name resounds, a tide of emotion surges, so powerful he cannot hold it back. Tears stream down his weathered face, quiet, wordless, a silent eruption of memory rising. He weeps, not from sorrow, but from a profound solace. Those tears carry the pain of nights spent alone by the dock, of scattering flowers no one understood, of dreams where his comrades still called his name. Yet they also carry joy, joy that, at last, he and his brothers are seen, remembered, not just as names, but as souls living on in a nation's heart. Jonathan sits there, the letter trembling in his hands, as if it too feels the weight of this moment. He thinks of the words he wrote, the unspoken confidences he never sent but always carried, a part of his ritual. Now, as the Navy ship stands silent, as wreaths drift on the sea, he feels those words have been heard, not just by his comrades, but by the world. In his heart, a rare peace settles. He once feared he hadn't done enough, that his comrades' memories would be swept away by the waves. But this ceremony, with its lowered flag and names read aloud, proves he was never alone. He kept his vow, and now the Navy, with a simple yet profound act, has joined him in keeping it. As the ship slowly departs, leaving wreaths shimmering on the water, Jonathan remains on the stone bench, his gaze fixed on the sea. He needs no words to feel his comrades' presence. They are there, in the waves, in the petals, in his heart. His tears have dried, but a gentle smile forms on his lips, a smile of quiet peace. He knows that, though time may pass, his story and his comrades will live on, not just in the white chrysanthemums, but in the hearts of those who've heeded memory's call. For Jonathan, this is the greatest gift, knowing he didn't fight alone, and that the flame of remembrance he lit will burn forever, glinting like sunlight on Florida's sea. As the Navy ship concludes the memorial ceremony, with wreaths drifting slowly on Florida's sea, Jonathan Blake is invited onto the deck. No justifications, no lengthy speeches. The officers, in pristine white dress uniforms, silently present him with a wooden plaque, its simple yet weighty inscription, "We do not forget." Jonathan accepts it, his fingers tracing each carved letter, as if touching the memories of his fallen comrades. In his heart, a tide of emotion surges. He once thought his flower-scattering ritual was a solitary act, a whisper only he and his comrades understood. But now, standing on the ship, among young sailors with respectful eyes, he feels a profound recognition. The pain of years forgotten, of rowing out to sea unnoticed, now seems soothed. The plaque isn't just a gift. It's proof that his quiet vow has been heard by an entire community. In the reception cabin, Jonathan faces Daniel Lewis, the Navy lieutenant colonel and son of a comrade he once saved. No words are spoken. They only look at each other, their eyes silent but brimming with an ocean of emotion. As their hands clasp tightly, Jonathan feels as if he's gripping the hand of that comrade from years ago, the hand he tried to hold in icy waters. In that moment, his heart beats fiercely. He sees the faces of the 8 soldiers who fell, their smiles, their vows, their unfinished dreams. Daniel, with reddened eyes, is a bridge between past and present, proof that Jonathan's sacrifices weren't in vain. In that silence, Jonathan finds a rare peace. He needs no words to know Daniel understands the pain, the loyalty, the weight of the white chrysanthemums scattered on the sea. Their handshake is a new vow, that his comrade's memory will live on, not just in his heart, but in generations to come. Days later, Jonathan's story begins to be retold by the media, this time with truth honored. Articles and reports no longer speak of the old poacher, but portray him as a silent hero, a veteran who kept his oath to his comrades for years. People from far and wide flock to the harbor, bringing bouquets of white and red chrysanthemums, placing them by the stone bench where Jonathan often sat. Each bouquet is a tribute, an acknowledgement that his ritual was never meaningless. Jonathan, seeing those flowers, feels a wave of emotion rise in his chest. He never sought attention, didn't need admiring glances, but those bouquets, to him, are a sign that his comrades, The souls he honored have been embraced by the community. In his heart, an old guilt begins to dissolve. He once feared he hadn't done enough, that their memory would fade with time. But now, he knows they've found rest, not just beneath the sea, but in the hearts of strangers. The Coast Guard, in a rare move, issues a public apology. They admit their mistake, acknowledging that Jonathan's actions weren't a violation, but a sacred ritual. Yet for Jonathan, the apology, though sincere, no longer matters. He has returned to his small wooden house, where waves lap steadily each night. He tidies a corner of the home, where he once kept the yellowed letter and the flower vase. With trembling hands, he hangs a small plaque on the wall, its handwritten words simple: "My comrades, now you rest." Gazing at the plaque, he feels a profound peace. His vow has been fulfilled, not just through scattered petals, but through the memorial ceremony, the townsfolk's bouquets, and Daniel's reverent eyes. He thinks of nights spent alone, releasing flowers into the sea, wondering if anyone understood. Now he knows the world has heard, and his comrades, though gone, have found solace. Each morning, Jonathan still rises early, carrying a bouquet of white chrysanthemums to the dock. But now he no longer rows alone. Harbor locals, other veterans, sometimes join him quietly, scattering flowers into the sea as part of a shared ritual. For Jonathan, each petal is a reminder he kept his promise. As dusk falls, he stands by the dock, eyes fixed on the sea, where waves still tell his comrade's story. He smiles, a gentle, meaningful smile. Though war stole his hearing, he still hears them, in the waves, in the sea breeze, in his heart. To him, this is the greatest gift, knowing his comrades rest in peace, and that the flame of remembrance he lit will burn forever, shimmering like sunlight on Florida's sea. The story of Jonathan Blake is more than a veteran scattering white chrysanthemums on Florida's sea. It's a profound reminder of silent heroes, those who need no stage to be remembered, yet carry an unwritten history in their hearts. In Jonathan's soul, each row out to sea was a sacred ritual, a whisper to the 8 comrades who fell in 1971. He sought no glory, needed no one to grasp his right. But when detained for illegal fishing, his heart ached, not from humiliation, but from fear that his comrade's memory might be carelessly swept aside by an indifferent world. His silence, though steadfast, hid a storm of emotion, the survivor's pain, the sorrow of seeing his cherished ritual deemed trivial. He sat on the stone bench, clutching his yellowed letter, eyes fixed on the sea, where the last petal he scattered drifted, bearing his eternal vow. When the Navy held the memorial ceremony, calling out his name alongside his 8 comrades, Jonathan wept. His tears were quiet, yet a burst of recognition after years of solitude. The wooden plaque inscribed, "We do not forget," and the firm handshake with Daniel Lewis, son of a comrade he saved, were beams of light piercing the darkness in his soul. He felt his comrades, their smiles, their cold hands, as if they smiled from the horizon. The guilt that he hadn't done enough dissolved, replaced by solace that his vow had been heard by a community. The bouquets townsfolk placed by his bench, the Coast Guard's apology, and the small plaque he hung in his wooden home, "My comrades, now you rest," proved he was no longer alone. His heart, once heavy, now light as the sea's waves. This story calls American audiences to pause before judging. Jonathan, with his resilient silence, is a living symbol of loyalty and sacrifice, an everyday hero society nearly overlooked in haste. Take a moment to honor those like him, who bear invisible wounds yet keep the flame of memory burning. If this story touches you, share it to remind others that hearts still beat for honor, even unseen. Each small act, a bouquet, a respectful glance, can kindle hope, keeping history alive. Together, through stories like Jonathan's, let's warm each other's hearts in the coldest days, ensuring no hero is forgotten.